we got to head to the arena to check in with a couple of MVPs as we talk about that.
Sure.
The guys are at the arena. Kyle is here as things got done pretty quickly there with the post-game press conferences. I guess they have.
Thank goodness
the
for
holiday.
that, Devon. Nobody
Exactly.
needed to be sticking around all night to conduct post-game interviews on Thanksgiving Eve. Am I right?
That's correct. Well, with it, man, I mean, look, we're talking about a 122-115 overtime loss, but they gave a lot of effort. Maxey was phenomenal. Yabusele was really good in this one. They fell short because, look, we talk about the same things that happens when the team is bad. The things always prop up. Offensive rebounds, 50-50 balls, and turnovers, those self-inflicted wounds by themselves. But they really did give an effort. Unfortunately, 14 losses in.
Yeah, and look, Devon, maybe we take like not a victory lap, more like a victory quarter lap when Ricky plays and they play the younger athletes rather than the guys who can't move anymore, and all of a sudden they're competing harder and they look like they can keep up with a Houston team that is full of long, competitive athletes. I think that was a big part of it. It's just you play the guys who can hang in this kind of matchup. So some of it was reintroducing someone like Ricky, giving him some rope, and we got to talk to him a little bit after the game about his road to getting back to being a contributor and all that. And also credit to Tyrese Maxey, who I think through like 2.5 quarters, I was really down on his performance, but kept coming. They tried to play up on him as he started to get some shots to go down. And despite the fact that he wasn't really getting any whistles and had some trouble finishing at the basket early, did a good job in that fourth quarter of making them pay for the way they were playing him. So, the resilience was there. The fight was there. All the stuff that you want to see in terms of the demeanor. But, yeah, 3-14 is 3-14. And, there are only so many moral victories this team can take this year. And I think they have sufficiently hit their limit on that one.
Oh, they're overflowing. The quota was probably a few weeks ago, Kyle. So let's talk one more about another moral victory, though, because I thought he was very good tonight. Yabu continues to impress. I just that guy, I don't know whether playing for Real Madrid for a couple years, just he figured out how to play basketball. It might have just been a guy naturally getting a little bit older and figuring out his niche, but he sure looks like a no doubt rotation player for whether it's the Sixers or somebody else moving forward. And I think, Devon and I were talking about it a little bit. If you did have everybody available, he's making a pretty good argument that he should be in that starting rotation or in that starting lineup, particularly.
Yeah. And look, Nurse and Yabu were both asked about it after the game, brought it up that this was the game where it was like, oh, Yabu played a lot of 4 and succeeded as a power forward, including next to Andre Drummond. And, actually, I thought that was probably the best Drummond game we've gotten this year. He was a big part of slowing down Şengün up until overtime. But, yeah, I mean, look, the thing coming into the year, we said Yabu's got all these complementary skills, right? He's a good secondary passer, a great screener. We think he's an intelligent player who's going to get more out of his size than maybe another similarly sized player would. But the question was the 3-point shot, and he has consistently shot the ball. He is comfortable, confident from multiple areas of the floor at this point. I think we were like, well, he's got to hit him from the corners because everywhere else is maybe a question mark. Well, I think he's sufficiently shown up to this point. He can hit from the wing, hasn't really been in the trail spot as much as you would expect, but that has unlocked so many things. And I think he did a good job tonight defensively, like coming out on switches, and we saw him, hedge a time or two. There was one where he helped force a turnover in the first half near the sideline that he was really fired up about, let out a big yell afterwards. So I think some of the other stuff is coming along for him. And, I know this is a big if, but if they ever get Joel out there for a consistent period of time, I agree with you, Rich. I think there's a decent argument that Yabu should be given a starter's opportunity.
And I thought he did a really good job. Jabari Smith playing really well lately, really putting the ball on the floor, hitting the outside shot as well. He only attempted 2 threes tonight, made both, but I thought Yabusele really competed well against a guy who was who's younger, obviously, a little more athletic with that length there, kept him off the glass also, and competed with Şengün on the glass. Şengün ended up with 14, but a lot of that really came later on as the shots were missing. He really got himself engaged into the basketball game, but Yabusele really held himself pretty well against both of those two guys in the front court particularly.
Yeah, and look, I think it highlights one of these things we keep talking about, right? Which is that we see what Yabu can do in these shorthanded situations. Like, he's a nice surprise, so it was a good pickup. Jared McCain, tough night tonight, but by and large, we're like, yeah, we're really encouraged by what he's shown. And so if you're getting those type of consistent efforts from guys like that, if you have this team on the floor and they're whole, and you have, a reasonable facsimile of Joel Embiid and Paul George, you should be able to win a lot of games. The problem is just we don't even know what state Joel is in half the time, right? So a lot of this ends up being like, hey, we're really encouraged by Ricky tonight. We're really encouraged by Yabu tonight. And it's great to have those things. But if you don't get those things while they have the star driving talent, and it's only Tyrese who's able to, be out there and do this, it's hard for these guys to go from, good role player, good game to, can't expect these guys to lead them to wins, right? It's got to come alongside the guys like Embiid and George, and that, it's incumbent upon them to get out there in one form or another.
Kyle, last one for me, because we want to get you out of here pretty quickly. We want to get ourselves out of here pretty quickly. After that, you did see from Nurse, he did play the younger, more athletic legs tonight. Yeah. I'm looking at the box score tonight. I see 5 minutes from Reggie Jackson, 7 minutes from Eric Gordon. But your two bench guys were KJ Martin and Ricky Council. I guess particularly with Ricky, because it's been kind of a rough season from him. He really has not gotten a chance to play in a certain spot in the rotation. So I will give him some grace there, but he has also not exactly seized the opportunity so far. What'd you make of Nurse kind of making that move? And what did you see particularly from those two guys who I thought both played pretty well tonight?
Yeah, well, so I think Ricky was probably the better of the two, notably because he took and made some threes where we're still waiting for KJ to not be gun shy when he's got the open opportunities in the corners or on the wing, wherever he might get them. But Ricky was pretty transparent with us in the locker room. We spoke to him tonight where he said, I've had to go back and watch film recently and almost remind myself of who I am and understand why I haven't played. And he said he sort of understands why he's been buried and why he's been out of the rotation, because he's looked at recent stuff and he would come in and, he might take a three and miss and go down and defend, but he's not impacting the game with his energy. He's not coming in and doing the stuff we saw last year, which is crashing the glass hard, getting put back dunks, coming down the floor in transition. And he said he needed that reminder to himself. This is what it looks like when you have a good game. This is what it looks like when your number is called. You need to do X, Y, Z. And so I think on top of that, I think something that I noticed tonight that has been absent was he made some good decisions in transition rather than trying to, do too much and just bulldoze somebody. He had a couple drop off passes or just hey, back to the trailer and Yabu, and I think he had a short pass to, I believe it was Maxey, on a fast break in the first half, and that's the type of stuff that adds up, right? It's not a huge thing in the stat sheet. Yabu got fouled, so it doesn't even go down in the stat sheet, gets no assist, but it's a winning basketball play, and that's the stuff that the coaches want to see from him. They know that he's a great athlete, right? We can see that he's got talent, but he needs to make those winning basketball plays. So we saw more of that tonight. And then KJ, it's very simple. He's a versatile, tough defender where he can blow up some plays on switches. And one jumped out at me tonight where brought up Jabari Smith, Devon. He had him on an island and he's trying to call for the ball in the mid post. And KJ, he just could not move him, to the point that he kind of fumbled the ball on the entry, and the Rockets are like, this is a 3-point shot. And KJ, he just could not move him. And to the point that he kind of fumbled the ball on the entry, and the Rockets are like, this is a 3-point shot. And KJ, he just could not move him. And to the point that he kind of fumbled the ball on the entry, and the Rockets are like, this is a 3-point shot. And KJ, he just could not move him. And to the point that he kind of fumbled the ball on the entry, and the Rockets are like, this is a 3-point shot. And KJ, he just could not move him. And to the point that he kind of fumbled the ball on the entry, and the Rockets are like, this is a 3-point shot. And KJ, he just could not move him. And to the point that he kind of fumbled the ball on the entry, and the Rockets are like, this is a 3-point shot. And KJ, he just could not move him. And to the point that he kind of fumbled the ball on the entry, and the Rockets are like, this is a 3-point shot. And KJ, he just could not move him. And to the point that he kind of fumbl nah, we don't want to go there anymore. And they just swung the ball to the other side of the floor. And we've seen it a lot from him this year. He had some success guarding Giannis on opening night. They've thrown him all around the floor. That's his ticket to playing time. The offensive stuff is a challenge. But yeah, Nurse actually, I don't know if you guys saw it. Nurse was asked about keeping the older vets in the boat, so to speak. Like, you're 3 and 14. How do you keep everyone's commitment? And Nurse basically was like, well, they've had their opportunity to earn minutes, and that's all it is. You got to earn the opportunities. So it does seem like he might be trending toward, it's time to play the Rickies, the KJs, the young guys of the world.
We all silly like the mayor.